Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Cozy Things chat. The guest I have today is my friend Bree, and we first met like probably 6 years back when we were both on BookTube.
Yeah.
And Bree is very active on Bookstagram now, though, and on her account, Bree Unabashedly. And it has been so fun to get to follow Bree as she has, for one, fallen in love with romance and just through the different stages of life that she's gone through, and is just a really positive person to follow in the bookish community. So I'm really excited to hear Bree's cozy things because Bree really knows how to be cozy. So thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I was like, Kate's one of my oldest friends. We were all kind of new to BookTube at the same time.
Yes.
I don't even remember how we found each other, but I remember my first ever buddy read was we all read Rebecca, like you, me, Katie, Olive from a
Oh my
book, Olive,
gosh.
Stephanie from That's What She Read. Like we all read Rebecca together.
Yes. Wow. And it was a lot of people because I would just catch up on my Voxer messages and it would take like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Those were the days, but it was so fun because it was my first time reading it. And actually, wow, coming full circle because I've just decided to reread it in September.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. And
Talk about a
rewatch the Laurence Olivier, Olivia de Havilland black and white film after I finish. It's just so beautiful.
it's when Netflix readapted it, I was like, everybody was freaking out. And I'm like in people's comments, like, have you watched the black and white version?
It's really good.
It's like we did not need a new adaptation of this movie. I'm just saying.
Hashtag not my Rebecca.
Right. No, I still haven't watched it, Kate.
I've been too scared.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like a snob, but I just feel like sometimes there are adaptations that are just good enough. Like we do not need to reinvent the wheel. Like celebrate the wheel that's there.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes there's a new take and you are happy that it was made, but sometimes like the new Persuasion, like I wish I could just unsee it, you know? Yes. And also you are a busy mom to 3.
Yes.
And
they went to school last week. Yeah, I was a nervous wreck. I don't know. There's something about summer vacation. Like the last 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, we need a break. We've been together a lot. And then you see like the oldest two, like I'm that mom that like stands at the bus stop and watches all the kids get on the bus. And I'm yelling at cars that don't stop when the bus stop has the sign out. Like,
no, you should do that. Like
I'm there. I'm
Mama Bear.
I'm that mom.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh man, like you're taking like my whole world with you. Bring them back. Yeah. But
yeah, it does
coziness
fly
is
by.
important for me.
What's that?
Coziness is important, I feel like, as moms. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's a way to recharge.
Yeah.
So I guess, should we jump into the first cozy thing on your list?
Yes, I was so nervous, Kate, because I feel like you're the queen of cozy. And I'm like, I feel like my list is all over the place. But I have to preface this with saying, hear me out on all of them. Okay. Just hear me out.
Yeah. Perfect. Everyone has a different idea of specific things that are cozy to them. Like some people, horror movies are cozy, and other people are like, keep me far away from those. Yeah. So that's why I like doing these, seeing the variety. So I'm very open-minded to what you view as cozy. So what is your first item?
Well, my first one, I was like, okay, what time of day do I feel most cozy? And I have to say, like, I just appreciate that you have this series going on because we're such a hustle and grind culture, like to celebrate cozy. I'm like, Kate would be the person to do this. So okay, hear me out. Quiet mornings. And when I think of that, I'm like a 5 a.m. riser.
Wow. I admire you. I will say that. It's like you are the person that I wish to be.
I would love to be a sleep-in person. I would love to be a night owl, but I was in the military. I messaged you a lot when I was getting out because I was like, I don't know how to be a stay-at-home mom. How do I do this, Kate? I was so nervous, and you like guided me in. But my work time, like at the latest, I would have to be at work at 4:45 a.m. So like my body naturally just like it's 5:30. It's time to get the day started. And
Wow.
I have really come to appreciate it. I love how peaceful it is. I don't
Mm.
have to respond to an email. I'm not answering the phone. I can get up, I can make a, warm glass of tea or do some lemon water. I can sit and read, I can sit and journal. It's just so peaceful. Like I will go out in the back and stand on the patio and just kind of take in the breeze. I don't know. It's just so peaceful and so cozy. I have one of those like wax melt holders, and it puts off this really pretty, like light pinkish glow downstairs. And I will just
Ooh.
go sit on the couch and read or something like that. So I don't know. I highly suggest, if you can, just find a time of day that feels peaceful to you. I mean, I think that's my biggest takeaway out of it, is just like, this is my time, So
Yes.
definitely quiet mornings.
No, I love that. And I know I was just watching a vlog from a mom where she gets up very early, and she just said that when her kids get up, she likes to be present with them. So
Yeah.
she's willing to do that, getting up early and doing whatever you want in that time.
That time.
And
Yeah.
yeah, my brain is definitely freshest in the morning. I've definitely transitioned to be a morning person. It was a big deal for me to start getting up at 6:30.
That's
So
fine. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I would like to actually push it up to 6, because I never am able to stay awake like through a movie at night anyway. It's not
Yeah.
like I have all these productive things that I do late at night. So yeah, no, I love that.
I think the downfall is like by, I'd say 8:45, you're like a pumpkin. You're like, I can't do anything, guys. I'm done. So staying on brand with early mornings, my
Okay.
second one is early morning coffee shop visits. So
Oh,
I did this even before the pandemic. So once the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, I'm ready for them to open back up so I can just stick with my routine. But I love getting there as soon as they open. It's not
mm,
busy. Everything smells super fresh. They usually have some like really just cozy, chill music playing in the background that's not too loud to where if you go with a physical book, you can't read. But I mean, also if
mm.
you just take headphones and you can just tune it out anyway. But I don't know, I love starting the day, especially when the sun comes up a little bit later and you're already there, like with your
Yeah.
coffee. Highly recommend it, guys. Like
Oh,
if you have a local, not Starbucks, support local, but if you
yes.
have a local coffee shop, yeah, soon. All of mine are like in college areas. So if I get there anytime, like after like 10 o'clock in the morning, it's students coming in, everybody's studying, and that's fun to be around. But there's something like, if you want cozy and kind of relaxing, just try to get
Mm.
there as soon as they open. I love it.
And you, I feel like too, you frequent them enough that do some of the staff at the different coffee shops recognize you?
Oh yeah, it's so
Oh,
embarrassing. Like the first time that I realized it, like I walked in and it obviously like was a manager, like he's never behind the counter. He just like kind of comes in, delivers coffee and stuff and leaves. And he's like, "So what are you reading today?" And I was like, "Oh God, I've been spotted." But it's so
very
funny.
positive thing. It's not like at McDonald's, they're like, she's back again.
Yeah. I was like, we're just gonna lean into it. It's fine.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
um,
that's so great.
so on the other end of the day,
Mhm.
I'm very protective. And as a mom, you probably know, you have to kind of wrestle when it comes to bedtime. Like
Ugh.
that's the time when everybody needs something. Kaysen realizes, yeah, I'm kind of hungry now. And I have to remind Jace to brush his teeth. And I have to remind Asia, don't forget your bed. Like everything comes crashing down. So it usually only takes me about 20 or 30 minutes once I hit the bed to fall asleep. Because
Wow.
even though I've like done the routine, I've set the scene, that's when
Mhm.
everybody comes at me with something. But I am still very protective of that nighttime
Mm.
routine. So
Mhm.
tea lights, I love
Oh,
lighting tea lights and putting them in my little candle holders. I spray some aromatherapy. I turn on my humidifier. I have one of those like 1950s looking metal fans that I found at Walmart a couple of summers ago.
oh,
I love it. I love the sound. And
fun.
then, our era of girls, we would read by flashlight under the covers, but now we have
Yes.
Kindles. So I get a little bit of Kindle reading in before bed, and it may be, like I said, 20 or 30 minutes, one chapter, a couple of pages, but I'm very protective of this is my cozy before bedtime. So yeah, peaceful evenings as well, you guys. Like protect your before bedtime routine.
That is so lovely. And it's funny because you saying, it may only be 20 or 30 minutes, but for so many people that don't read a ton, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And 20 to 30 minutes really adds up. You can, over the course of, a week or a week and a half, that's very easily you can finish a book, if not two. Yeah.
We don't book shame around here. If you're reading 5 pages, we celebrate those 5 pages. Just read.
Yes. Yeah. I really liked Ray from Ray of Sunlight on her channel. She talked about she had a whole month where she didn't read. And now that social media just messes with you so much. And at the end, she had this whole reflection and said, so I changed how I looked at it. And so for that month, I lived as a reader. I loved that so much. I was like, yes, you can just don't give yourself guilt that you aren't constantly doing this hobby, and pick it up again when you're able to.
Yeah. I always question, I'm like, how would my reading, when we discovered BookTube so long ago, and like you fall into Bookstagram and, there's TikTok now, there's all these like places to talk about books. And I'm like, I kind of miss being a normal reader. Like, what would that feel like? Where like you just read and put the book on the shelves. You're not updating Goodreads. You're not posting on Instagram. Like, what was that life like?
I know there is a real charm and kind of just lightheartedness to reading on a whim.
Yeah.
And that would be scary to not log the reading, but I do wonder what it would do to my reading.
I know.
Oh.
Well, I need you to continue logging yours because I want more like ranking my 100 classics I've read videos. So, no pressure there, but I'm just saying I need you to do it.
I do. I feel like our generation, like we love a good list and a good ranking,
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
well, my next one is pretty seasonal bouquets. Oh. And I don't mean you have to go like $50, $60. Like, don't break your wallet. I am a grocery store flower buyer. I'm very lucky here in Texas. We have a grocery store called HEB that's all over, and the flowers there are beautiful. I mean, I think the most expensive that I pay is $15, which I still know is a stretch, especially for something that's not going to last very long. They are going to die. But I just think treating yourself, and they're so pretty. They can brighten up the room. They can make the room cozy. You can be in like a really dull mood and walk in and just see this pretty bouquet of flowers. And I just feel like they're so magical. They have so much power to just like lift your spirits. And I just had to I was like, I have to put flowers on the list.
Yeah, no. And I think definitely certain kinds of flowers last longer than others. Dave got me for my birthday some like dusty pink carnations, which I feel like people are very down on carnations, but the color of these were really pretty. And that was on the 8th, and it's now the 22nd, 23rd, and they still look new. Yeah. So I think like roses are there like 6-7 days, and then they're gone.
And in defense of roses, though, I feel like when they're dying, they smell really good.
That is very true. No, definitely. They're a really fragrant flower. I really love that about them.
Yeah. I mean, they aren't going to last long, but the smell as they're on their way out, it's like, oh, wow, you really are like something magical here. So, yes, treat yourself to flowers.
Okay. Truly dating myself. Do you remember Xenon?
I do.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I have never forgotten the quote when Xenon is on Earth and she sees her aunt, the flowers that she has planted, and she's like, oh, what purpose do these serve? Like, do they feed people? And she's like, some things just feed your soul.
Yes.
And I've never forgotten that quote.
There you are. Flowers.
Yes.
Okay. Flowers.
Yes.
Pretty bouquet. Don't break your wallet. It's fine. And a lot of times now they give you like the little flower food that you can put in the water.
Yes.
It's perfect. They're perfect.
Yes.
So my next one, I feel like this is a very fall thing, but we're transitioning slowly into fall.
Oh, yes. And aren't we all like, once June is done, I'm there in spirit.
Yeah. Who cares about August? Sorry for the August birthday.
I know, it's the worst birthday month, truly.
But there's something cozy about homemade soup, specifically if you're a crock pot user. I'm a crock pot user. Yes. So my two go-tos, I love chicken noodle soup, which I found a recipe on Pinterest, and it's so easy. I was so intimidated by it. And stuffed pepper soup. But I'm always like, all of those, you posted a food magazine in your stories, and I was like, yes, we're truly sisters. Yes. As soon as fall comes, I'm like, I know this is $12.99, but I'm going to haul it.
I'm such trash for it. Like, yes. Anything with that aesthetic, I'm like, yes, thank you.
Have you read the Magnolia ones by Joanna Gaines?
You know what? I haven't, but I think it's because it is a more spendy like magazine. Yeah. But one of these days I should just bite the bullet, and because I really
think you would love it.
Her whole aesthetic is beautiful.
Yeah, I really think you would love it. I've never really watched her show, like anything with her in it. I have watched some shows on her network, but the magazine, they only come out seasonal. Oh. They are gorgeous. And like the articles that she writes, the writing is really beautiful. Like she's speaking to us, Kate. You have to.
I love that. Yeah, no, okay. I'm going to, that will be a treat I will give myself this fall.
Okay. Yes. So yes, homemade soup. I love it. Oh. Like it's a hug for the soul, a good hot bowl of soup.
And stuffed pepper soup, what are the like general ingredients that are in that?
So I use hamburger meat, obviously. I use brown rice, which I add in at the end. And then I just go, if my grocery store has all the bell peppers on, like green, yellow, red, orange, I get one of each. Oh. And oh my God, you just put it all together. Garlic, you can put onions in there if you want, diced tomatoes, tomato sauce, beef broth. And you just let it cook, and those peppers start smelling so amazing. Like it's so good. I will send you the link to the one that I use. It's really simple. Yes, I love it. So warm hug for the soul. Homemade soup. Make it yourself.
Perfect.
So, okay, we're gonna switch gears here.
I'm ready for it.
This next one I grew up loving, and I love what Katie said from Life Between Words with hers. Like sometimes when I think of coziness, I do think of nostalgia, and something about the pandemic life, us being home a lot more, I was really craving that a lot more. And I have really fallen back in love with classic sitcoms.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
So I've been trying to watch the ones that I haven't watched. So I grew up watching anything Lucille Ball. I feel like when we were kids, we had Nick at Night. And so I watched like Happy Days. I watched Lucy. The Muensters came on, Happy Days. So I've seen all those. So I've been trying to focus on the ones I haven't watched. So I binged Mary Tyler Moore. And I say that loosely because I have 6 episodes left and I'm afraid to finish it. So I'm procrastinating. I didn't realize it ended so fast.
It is so good. Now, the only thing is, and I need to get over this, I've kind of been pouting that Rhoda isn't in the later seasons. She was like kind of the highlight of the show to me, though. That's why I was heartbroken about it.
It's weird when Rhoda's gone. It is weird. Yeah. Weird. I think I was watching this docuseries. I think Tom Hanks actually produced it, called History of the Sitcom. And
how fun.
It's so good, Kate. So it was like, they were saying that essentially sitcoms are found family. And I'm like, I've been craving, that's exactly what I've been craving.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in Texas, none of my family is here. So I think that's why, like Mary, whether she's in the office or she's in the apartment with Rhoda, that is found family.
That's so true.
I love it. So I'm finishing that. Like I said, I have like 6 episodes and I'm not ready.
It's going to be okay.
And I've been watching one on Amazon Prime. They only have the first season and it's called Petticoat Junction. Have you ever like...
Okay, that makes me think of Saturdays at my grandparents.
Yes.
That was like a regular one. That and Green Acres, like
yes,
very closely intertwined for me.
Yeah, because there was like, those came after the Beverly Hillbillies was like a big hit. So they wanted like something a little bit, on the flip side.
Yes.
And I was wondering, I was like, why does Petticoat Junction feel so familiar? Well, it's actually like the inspiration, the writer of the show, his wife used to visit her grandmother in Missouri, and I'm from Missouri, and like
Oh my
that was her
goodness.
experience. And I was like, this is why, because it's like the train in
Wow.
Missouri is like huge with like railroad history. And I was like, oh, this is why. So I love it.
Wow.
Classic sitcoms,
Oh,
found
they're
family. Yes.
yes, and they are very like there is no problem that is not fixable
Yes.
in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I fell in love last summer and now they took it off Amazon Prime, but Andy Griffith.
Oh
Um
my gosh, that is my mom and my uncle's favorite.
and my boys, like, they'll watch some older TV with me, but this is just a bridge too far for them where they're like, not much happens. Like they have enjoyed the Muensters and the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, which one did they like more?
I can't remember which one they said, but okay, this is so funny. So my husband, he does not really get like TV or movie crushes, but Morticia Addams, he was like,
Yeah.
she's so beautiful. He just kind of could not get over her.
I've been slowly watching the Addams Family because it's on Amazon Prime. Shout out to Amazon Prime.
Oh,
It is
nice.
there. I'm somewhere like halfway through the first season. I have the Muensters on DVD. I didn't realize there was only like 2 seasons. So it was like $19
brief.
at
Yeah.
Walmart. And I don't know. I think with the Muensters, I'd have to say they're my favorite, but they are like trying to like fit into society, where the Addams Family, I just feel like
That's so true.
they're like, we're gonna be us regardless. So I think it's so interesting to watch both. But yes,
Yes.
classic sitcoms,
Oh,
like peak coziness, I feel like.
so fun. And you know what's so random that I found when I was making, because I love to make like themed playlists on Spotify. And I was like, I want like retro, like family friendly Halloween playlist.
Ooh,
So like totally things in the category of the Monster Mash.
Mhm.
And I found a wealth of things, including there was an Addams Family band. And so there's an entire album they put together and it can be found on Spotify. I was like, this is the most specific thing I think I've ever found.
Yeah. I mean, talk about adaptations. Have you seen the preview for Wednesday, and what do you think?
Okay, I am such a chicken. So I think it looks like very well done. At first I was like, oh, I can watch this with Peter. And then I was like, oh, never mind.
Probably not.
So I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah.
I'll see if I'm brave enough. It looks, and I love Catherine Zeta-Jones. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued. And it
I'm
is fun.
intrigued
It's coming out for
too.
autumn. Yeah, I'll definitely try it.
I'm intrigued. We'll see. But yes. Okay. So this next one, going back to Joanna Gaines. So
Okay.
I didn't realize that like at the time that this was on there, but I mostly stream now and I use Discovery Plus. And there is a show that I fell in love with last year after reading the memoir. So I was sent this memoir called The Lost Kitchen by Erin French, and it's a cooking memoir.
Ooh.
And I love those. And so I read the memoir and I loved it. It's set in Maine. And then I'm on there one day looking for cooking shows, and I come across this show and I'm like, she has a show. It only has 2 seasons out. And I pray, I have been messaging them on Instagram, leaving comments like, we need a season 3 of this show. Okay. So in Maine, she has a restaurant called The Lost Kitchen, and they're only open like spring through, I'd say, the end of fall.
Okay.
And they really prioritize using local ingredients. So on the show, you'll see her out with the fishermen, getting lobster, or you'll see her, visiting a local farm, getting herbs or picking blueberries. And then how people come to the restaurant is you send in a postcard, and there are people that wait years to get an invite, like, because they literally just, everything is like so for the local. So her doing this process of having people send in postcards really kept their post office open, because it's such a small town in Maine that like nobody was really sending the mail. So this is like another way of her helping the economy. So you know, and people wait years. So you'll see her, like, they'll just pick out a postcard and call the person like, hey, this is the Lost Kitchen. Would you still like to come? And obviously people are like saving their money because people will fly in from like the West Coast down in Texas. Some are like right down the road in like Delaware or New York or something. And they're there. And at the end of the episode is when you see it's all women staff and them just like cooking together, and they have this beautiful dance and rhythm of like, you're doing this, I'm doing this, and just again, like all these local ingredients. I'm just watching it and I'm like, oh, I bet that smells incredible. Again, it only has 2 seasons. I rewatch every episode all the time. It is peak coziness. She loves flowers. So right before everybody shows up to eat, like you'll see them like last minute putting like bouquets of flowers into vases and putting them on the tables and stuff. It is just a cozy visionary dream. So
That all sounds amazing.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Such
My
a
next-
unique sounding TV show also.
Yeah. I hope she gets another one. I'm like, this is,
Yes.
I love cooking competitions and stuff for fun, but just like a small restaurant trying to make it that's also supportive of like, you know, local farmers and fishermen and all of
Yeah.
that. I'm like, I love this. I love
Like the
it.
whole philosophy behind it, you just really feel inspired by.
Yeah, yeah. It's set in Freedom, Maine. And she's like, I couldn't wait to get away from this place. And obviously, as we all tend to, as tend to happen, that's where you go back to. So
Yes.
my
Oh, very
next
cool.
two are podcasts.
Yay. Oh, and also, side note, let's just say I completely forgot to talk about your amazing podcast, which is the Falling for Romance podcast that you host with Sarah, the bookish knitter. And I cannot believe the sheer volume of authors that you have gotten on your podcast. It
Yes.
is really inspiring.
It's so fun. Thank you. Well, this is another one. Hear me out. Like I prefaced this. It has like 2 seasons and it has been over with since like 2018. But I re-listen to it all the time. And it is called Love Stories. And it's hosted by Dolly Alderton, who has a rom-com that came out last year called Ghost. But I found her because she had a collection of essays called Everything I Know About Love, which is fantastic. It's basically like a love letter to friendship, essentially. But she did this podcast apparently like to promote that book when it was coming out. And there's people like Marion Keys, Stanley Tucci are guests on there. And it's pretty much, so she has them come on and they tell her a story of first love, unrequited love, and everlasting love. And it's so
Oh my goodness.
cozy. I'm like, I love conversations. I love it. I love it so much. I mean, it's just interesting to hear. I mean, a lot of the first loves are like, oh, I was at camp and I met this guy, you know, this guy. But then like some people's everlasting love is like, oh, my mom, or, you know, my sister, she's the coolest person I know. It's just, I love hearing that, you know, for moms, a lot of the time it's their kids, but yeah, it's one of my favorite things to listen to. I re-listen to it all the time.
Oh, that sounds so, so lovely and just very positive.
Yes, yes. And the next one it's hosted by Emily P. Freeman. It is a Christian podcast. And my technique is I let her put out like 4 or 5 episodes and then I just binge them all because they tend to be what I need at like a specific time. So I try to let them just kind of build up. And what was the most recent one was I wrote this down, episode 241. And the title is, it sounds like it's about writing, and she does take writing advice, but she's kind of equates it to life advice. She's like, you know, you'll hear write what you know, and you'll hear like write what you want to know. And she really does a beautiful job of comparing that to life. And hold on. I put notes in my phone so I did not forget it. But it's in the episode, it talks a lot about simple routines, which I'm like, this is cozy conversation right here. And it's like, we're all going to face moments in our life where we have little control over anything. And like, that's the time where you should really celebrate the things that you have some control over the most, and how
Yeah.
they'll ground you, and how they may really prepare you to face like this challenging time, like really grounding
Mm.
yourself in those things you do have some control over. So it is beautiful. Some episodes are like 3 minutes long. She may just read a psalm, like whatever psalm she wants to choose. She usually does a beautiful chat when each season comes, like, prayers for summer, prayers for fall. This is the only podcast that I will listen to and like pause it to put notes in.
Wow.
I love it. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah,
called
that
The
kind of
Next Right
having
Thing.
the routines like that. I've never forgotten somebody talking about after their mom died, they went to her funeral and they came home and they mopped the floor because
Yeah,
they felt like that was something that they could control. And
right,
it was very soothing to do
right.
that. Here's something I can do. The floor is dirty and I can make it clean. That's at least one little thing I can control right now.
Yeah, she ends it off. She's like, before bed, I wash my face. I'll scribble something really short in my journal. Like those are simple routines. And I was like, man, they really are grounding. Like when
Yeah.
you think about it, it's like, oh, it's so mundane. I do the same thing every day. But I don't know, there's also something really special about it because they're there. We can't really predict what's going to
Yeah.
happen tomorrow, and especially in
Mhm.
those times where it's like, oh man, like it's just I'm going through a difficult phase, like
Mhm.
just celebrate, I think, those simple routines. So yes, The
Yeah.
Next Right Thing, guys, go check it out. I love
Very
it. Her
cool.
voice is so calming.
Oh, lovely.
And the last one, everybody talks books, and I felt like I would end mine off talking about books.
Let's do it.
So of course, like you said, I do predominantly read romance now, and I feel like the romance genre, I found it at a time in my life where I didn't realize I was transitioning into a dark period, but like life was changing and I was really spiraling mental health wise. And I had
Mhm.
just I think actually we had finished reading Wives and Daughters.
Uh-huh.
And my first read of Wives and Daughters, I remember going to a mental health appointment and I was reading that in my car. And then I just kind of stayed on this path and I started reading romance. And
Oh.
I started connecting the dots and I'm like, who was the author that really made me realize I need a happy ever after? And that was Susanna.
Let me just say that I'm eternally grateful to Bree for telling me about Susanna Kearsley
She's
because
fantastic.
Susanna Kearsley to me was the first contemporary author, meaning like she writes current day, that I thoroughly enjoyed. So many of them, because I would just pick like the most popular ones on BookTube and it just wouldn't suit my taste. And so I kind of thought, oh, there's no new books I can love. And then
Yes.
Susanna Kearsley came along. Oh,
She's so good.
she
I just,
really is.
yeah, I was like, I think it was through her that and I didn't even really realize it at the time, but I'm like, all of her books do end with a happy ever after.
Yeah.
They're chunkers and they're full of history and
Yeah.
time travel and reincarnation and
Oh,
all the things. But that is there. And I find something really cozy about knowing like this is what's going to happen in the end. But if the
mhm.
writer is good, they're going to take me on a journey and I may totally forget that's what I'm working for. I may even feel
Yes.
like these two people are never going to get together. Hence, he's in a different time than she is. Like, how
Yes.
would that happen? But
Yes. Yeah. No, it's that the tension of
yeah.
will this how can she successfully bring them
Full
together?
yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that is my list.
oh, what a fabulous list. I cannot believe this has just been so much fun and it has absolutely flown by.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess would you like to kind of give just a brief like what kind of goes on with a categorically romance podcast for those who might not know about it?
Yes. Well, Sarah is taking she's taking a break right now. So it's my
Mhm.
friend Erin and I,
Okay.
and we're always trying to reinvent. I mean, podcasting, it with BookTube, like you kind of have to, this isn't working and this isn't working and this is work. We're constantly reinventing. So it's a lot of author interviews. It's a lot of us trying to read books and talk about them, but it's really just you'll hear so many romance readers like, oh, I was sneaking my mom's Harlequins, and we're trying to actually get I call it the muscle behind the machine, like the people that are making that machine, the category romance world work, the authors. We're just trying to like, I'm a big oral history person, so I'm like, come talk to us, tell us all the things. So yeah, it's just really us celebrating this genre in romance. And even in the romance world kind of catches a lot of slack, but we love it and we're just here to celebrate it. So
yes. Yeah, like you said earlier, just no shame in reading, and just reading is supposed to be a delight. And so read what is a delight to you.
yes.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much for being a guest, Bree. And all of the things will be linked down below, the list and everything. And thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.